Good afternoon, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Heather Hall. I'm a demand and delivery manager in Threat for Optiv. In this talk, I'm going to walk you through my story and provide you with 4 tips to expand your network. Early last year, I realized that although I love my work, team, and adored my boss, I was ready for a change. I wasn't jumping on the Great Resignation bandwagon like 4.5 million Americans have. I was simply ready for a new culture and work-life balance. There are nearly 500,000 open cyber roles, and in 8 months, I researched around 100 companies. I sent out about 150 resumes for roles I was truly interested, all after hours, of course. Even with this research and thoughtful application, I felt like I was throwing darts blind. There's nothing that tells you what is happening with your application. There's no feedback loop in a job hunt. The response I got was limited and nerve-wracking. At some point, you may find yourself sending out hundreds of resumes and, like me, not getting the response you had hoped. On paper, I think I look pretty good. Actually, I'm stunning. I have a CV that makes people stop and stare, but I wasn't getting calls. I watched and applied Jason Blanchard's method of hacking your resume. I shortened and lengthened my resume. I wrote stunning cover letters and made sure my LinkedIn profile was the end all be all. But there were no calls. I was working with a company called Possibly. Michelle and Amy helped me revise my resume, update my LinkedIn profile, and created a brand. We brainstormed what I wanted to do next, wrote vision statements and mission statements. All of it was great. I enjoyed the guidance, but there were no calls. Michelle offered to introduce me to some of her connections, and I was reluctant and turned her down for the time being. I had a recruiting company reach out and ask me to apply for a role with a startup. They wanted me to be their CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. I was pumped. I knew I had this in the bag. I interviewed multiple times, took calls on weekends to woo this company, and then I was ghosted. No email, text, call, nothing. I had another recruiter reach out. I was hesitant, but at least the last one managed to get me an interview. The company was a dream. It had the culture I was looking for. They cared about the environment. They had an all-around great package. My first interview was amazing. I enjoyed the conversation. I felt like I connected with the team. I had a second interview where I learned that I was being pushed to the last stage, as I was the last of 2 candidates. There had been 427 applicants, and I was the last of 2. I didn't get the role, as I didn't have enough environmental experience. How is it that a person who holds a master's and 14 certification in cyber not getting the job? I may never know, but what I do know is that there is a better way. I reported back to my friends Michelle and Amy at Possibly and took them up on their matchmaking or introduction of their friend. William Young was someone important at Optiv, and thanks to Michelle, he'd freed up 30 minutes in his schedule for me. He told me what he was looking for. I listened to what Optiv was bringing to the market, and I wanted to be part of his vision. I also let him know that I was excited. I was interested in the role. The interaction with Bill was like a pre-interview. It took away the need for the typical first couple of interviews to figure out who I was and who Optiv was. After that, I had 3 interviews. The first with the recruiter, the second with the technical team, which I nearly bombed because I wasn't willing to say that I couldn't remember how to remediate cross-site scripting. We'll call it interview nerves. And I tried to wing it. My saving grace was that at the end, when I said, I don't think I got that question right, I was honest. And that statement saved me. The last interview was a presentation on tabletops, cyber exercises, and I killed it. Got the job. The job at Optiv, ironically, was similar to the role that I applied for previously. I still have that denial email. Michelle at Possibly was the catalyst for the first interview. Her willingness to connect me with Bill opened the door that I didn't even know existed. Let me clarify something. My interaction with Bill didn't get me the job. I got myself a job. But his interaction helped me bypass a few steps, as the first call with the recruiter was about logistics instead of discussing and describing the role. After that experience, I started analyzing all the roles, jobs, gigs, and opportunities that I'd had over the years. And I'm boldly going to state that all of them were due to networking. The babysitting gig when I was 12, I got through my parents. We'll call that networking. The hourly gigs at various fast food joints were through connections that had referred me. Networking. Joining the Army on active duty was because I didn't send dial tone to the recruiter. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's the sound the phone makes when you hang up on somebody, which is networking. After a 4-year stint in the Army, I hocked all of my gear. I set off to earn $30,000 a year. I was 22. I thought that I knew everything and I was going to rock this job search stuff. I had a few leads with companies in San Diego, but I wanted to stay in the Reno area. My first job after the Army was at the El Dorado Resort and Casino, which I got after attending a job fair that a friend had told me about. You guessed it, networking. As I worked my way through the ins and outs of the AS400 at the casino, the Army stopped paying me the 69 days of leave I had earned. This is where the Army pulled me back in again. I think it was their plan all along, because the finance person at the Guard helped me fix my pay, and then she referred me to the recruiter that enlisted me in the National Guard. If you're following, that was networking. The suggestion by my captain to apply for a role with the Nevada National Guard is the point where I tell people I started my professional career. He was the lead that started my 15-year stint as a technician with the Nevada Army National Guard. As I look back on that opportunity, I realized that I have never known that that role existed, nor how to apply it, as the government application process can be lengthy, but rewarding. As I told along in my career as a full-time civil servant and a part-time soldier, opportunities to lead teams, attend training, and challenge my own personal knowledge rolled by. I grabbed them often. Networking. Some of the opportunities that came up were last minute. I was asked to lead a team in Korea for an annual signal event. My soldiers got to gain knowledge about signal systems as I worked alongside active duty peers that were miles away from the Korean DMZ. Areas of growth were in operational security, intel tracking, Korean culture, and that too was due to networking. My most notable step into the cyber arena was through a captain that had interacted with me briefly. He called on a Thursday evening asking me to attend CISSP training. I didn't know what that stood for. I now know it stands for Certified Information Systems Security Professional, but I'll tell you, I have to Google it most of the time. I had to take a 40-hour course and pass a 120 question test before even getting on the plane on Sunday morning. I was told that these 5 letters were worth it. So I caffeinated up and fluffed my way through the prerequisite training. CISSP bootcamp was 2 weeks, 16-hour days, and a culmination of 120 plus hours of learning, cramming, and note-taking. Passing CISSP exam with a number 2 pencil and a Scantron was not easy, but it opened doors for future opportunities. That opportunity, like many, were due to networking. I was selected to attend cyber warrant officer training, where I received industry training from 11 SANS content creators. SANS is a leader in cybersecurity training, and I had the opportunity to challenge and achieve 7 SANS certifications due to someone somewhere recommending me to attend the training. I still don't know who that person was, but it too was due to networking. In the military, a network of peers comes naturally. You meet people over training courses, deployments, drills, and things that bond you with hundreds of people over a lifetime. Even people you don't know that also served will give you the shirt off their back. When I left the military, my husband, Karsten, didn't get why I needed to hang out and meet new people. I told him that my boss, Antonio Rucci, Tony, said that networking is how I'm going to get ahead in the business world. He said that data breaches will happen and how you respond defines your company also. Tony, again, is right by both accounts. I remember the people that I met that night. My husband questioned the networking engagement. I kept in touch with them, and we have helped each other out over the years. Networking may not get you an immediate result. It, however, will last a lifetime. The gig that lured me away from the Nevada National Guard was brought to me by soldiers that I had deployed with and worked alongside years prior. Their advisement is what led me to entertain leaving the cushy gig as a civil servant. With the title of Director of Operations, the salary increase of 25%, and the opportunity to use my cyber training while working with some of my favorite soldiers was an easy choice. When the role came to an end, our boss, Tony, networked for us. Most of the team ended up at Coke, the brothers, not the soda. And I got a role programming the global SIM, creating use cases, helping in response to incidences, and working to manage detection and making it a little more manageable. The work again was awesome, but the culture, not my cup of tea. I called Tony again, and he came to my rescue. He linked me up with the consultant role where I got introduced to clients' board of directors as the only cybersecurity person for miles. I worked long hours working to secure the environment of a large casino chain. My contract was about to renew when I got a call from a former client that I had met years prior. Networking is how I landed a role in a niche market as the logical and physical cybersecurity person for a, get it, wealthy family. It was a cool gig. I had a front row seat at times of the Lake Tahoe, that is, along with the freedom and trust to make sure the family and their assets were secure. I built out virtual environments for BCPDR, made sure that all the devices were secure, and that the family and staff were trained to recognize and respond to cyber threats. I legit totaled a Tesla on the way to work one morning. And that was the event where that gig made the lake a little less appeasing. I reached out to my network, and once again, they came through. My resume landed in the hands of a CISO for a workman's compensation insurance company. He was looking for an information security program manager, and I fit the bill. I worked alongside one of the most talented CISOs I'd ever had the privilege to meet. Bert Carroll taught me about risk. I learned MITRE. I set up data loss prevention programs, vulnerability management programs, managed third-party risk, among so many other things. I also got to become Mr. Human Air on Halloween after a company-wide security training launch. Side note, if you don't know who Human Air is, Google it. The training videos are some of my favorites. Adding humor to what can be a very standoff role while interacting with people I secured and trained helped me build a network. I was the first call when someone thought an email looked fishy. I was the person people came to bounce ideas on all kinds of things. I made myself accessible. I shared the subject of this talk and my job hunt experience with a friend of mine the other day. And he asked me if I knew why I never got a call back. Naturally, I said no, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he stated that people don't want to hire someone that may one day take their job or know more about a role than they. He shared his experience of literally being told that he wasn't being hired because he was smarter than the hiring manager, and the hiring manager was nervous. Crazy, right? My friend had a lot of connections, multiple degrees and certifications, and this friend didn't come out and say that he was the smartest dude in the room, but he should have. Let that sink in for a second. You all have taken on a career in a field that is unknown by all but a very small percentage of the population. Of the over 334 million people in the United States and nearly 8 billion people globally, less than 1 million are employed in cybersecurity designated roles. Oddly, the knowledge you hold is needed in every household, business, and government entity. It's likely that the person reviewing your resume will not know what CISSP and GSEC stand for. They don't know that they both prove similar knowledge and validate that you can probably manage your way out of something. People writing the ad for the latest cybersecurity role may not know that there are less than 500 people that hold a GSE, GIAC Security Expert Certification, let alone the knowledge that it takes to obtain that achievement is immense. They also do not know that CISSP is not an entry-level certification, as it takes passing a 100 to 150 question exam, having 5 years of cumulative paid work experience in 2 or more of the 8 domains of the ISC squared CISSP common body of knowledge. Crazy, that's a lot to achieve. I was recently asked what led me to where I am, and I thought about it, and my answer was that I never passed up an opportunity to introduce myself, never passed up an invite to meet new people. Before you set out to meet people with the goal of networking, there are 4 things that I would like you to do, or consider doing at least. First, I suggest you polish your elevator speech. This is a brief, less than 1 minute spiel about what you do, and with the goal to spark more conversation. Mine goes something like this. Hi, I'm Heather. I'm a DoD trained hacker with too many certs to name. I have decades of experience securing the environments of companies like yours. I'm also skilled in data loss prevention, vulnerability management, security awareness, and can take results of an assessment and correlate them to a board level discussion. I can empathize with the plight of your security teams and would love to serve you in growing your business. I pause, hand over my business card if appropriate, and then listen. I listen with the intent to learn, not convince or teach. Second, before engaging in introductions, I suggest that you make your LinkedIn and CV ready for prime time. And I say CV, cumulum vitae, Latin for course of life, intentionally, as it is the document that you're going to use to tailor your resume for the role or opportunity that you're shooting for. The LinkedIn profile can be something that people get hyper-focused on. And while it's not a CV, inconsistencies between the two can trigger more digging or be off-putting. Third, put your doctorate in Google to work. Google yourself. Google yourself with the lens of a prospective manager. What secrets does the internet hold about you? Does your TikTok need to be cleaned up or Instagram need to be moved to a private account? Networking isn't going to help you if you do not present a professional brand for the world to see. Networking doesn't have to be you standing in a room wondering how you're going to survive the experience and get out of there alive. I've been there. I'm not a fan. And if you find yourself in that environment, make a friend, a battle buddy. That way you can team up with the hope to make the experience more enjoyable. Networking can also be you reaching out to someone on LinkedIn and asking them for an interview or mentorship. Let me give you some ideas on how to find people to connect with on LinkedIn. I did a search for cyber mentor and pulled up about 116 people with the description in their title. With that, I found groups that focus on mentorship in cyber. Mentor and mentee women in cybersecurity, Augustus Redefined, Cyber Mentor Dojo, Cyber Jobs Hunting, and using your alumni database can come in handy. Mentor and mentee women in cybersecurity is a group to share, train, involve, and empower and mentor others who are looking to be mentored in the cybersecurity field. Augustus Redefined is an organization found to support, nurture, mentor, and encourage Black women in cybersecurity. Cyber Mentor Dojo is a platform that enables students to find a mentor to create a path in cybersecurity. Cyber Jobs Hunting is a place for someone to come and find work and network with peers from across the globe. Last on my list, and definitely not least, is putting your alumni database to use. Many of your predecessors would be thrilled to help you and their alma mater succeed. Joining an alumni chapter is another option, and there are quite a few that are alongside your alma mater, I'm sure. The fourth item on my list is that once you have identified a person or group to connect with, I advise that you come to the conversation with the mindset to learn. Learn what they're looking for to grow their company. Have a positive outlook. Learn what type of person they're looking to connect with and the culture of that company. Learn how you can better yourself. Learn how you can change your thoughts and outlooks. People want to be around other people that make them feel comfortable and at ease and able to be themselves. Be positive. Make a conscious effort to treat everyone as if they are the only conversation. Towards the end of the conversation, ask one or both of the following questions. Are there any skills that you think I could work on to be a good fit for your team? Or do you think someone like me would be a good addition to your team? Can we set up a call to discuss? Both of those questions show that you're interested in the guidance, working with them, and are humble enough to improve your skills. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Optiv currently has roles open in many of our practices, especially threat. Bill Young, the very VP that opened the door for me, stated that he's looking for self-starters that have the initiative to learn. Google says that there are 500,000 cyber roles open globally, and the world is your oyster. When you get frustrated because the phone is not ringing and emails are not coming in, change your mindset. Pick out a nice outfit, clean under your nails, and get ready to start networking. Lastly, hi, I'm Heather. Let's network. I would love to learn more about you.